Hey y'all, Danielle from Black Business Boom, and I am live today with Dakota Grady from Upstate Essential Solutions. And I'm really excited to be having this conversation with Dakota. Dakota was in one of my corner to corner classes that I facilitated years ago. It's just been amazing seeing his growth over the last several years. Dakota helps with everything money involved, but specifically today, we're going to be talking about bookkeeping because we were having a chat in Black People Making Moves about bookkeeping and why it's so difficult for many small business owners to do it, and how important it is when it comes to having a strong financial future, but also being able to just file your taxes as a small business owner. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. Hey, Dakota, how are you?
Hello, Danielle. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. I can't complain at all. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really want to learn a little bit about your background and have my audience learn a little bit about your background. Tell us a little bit about it.
So I am Dakota Grady, actually from, let's see, South Carolina. Moved to Tennessee, Oklahoma for about 8 years, 22 states, and I have a background in accounting and personal finances. How I got into accounting is I hated my job. I was an auditor. I traveled around the country doing audits for collection agencies. And then 2008, I got fed up and quit my job. Went back to school for accounting in 2009. I got my accounting degree in 2011 and got into the field in 2012 and been doing it since then. And then in 2020, I lost my job in March 2020. I was doing the same thing for other people. But the next month, I started my own business doing accounting and taxes. So almost 4 years later, I'm doing accounting and taxes with clients from Florida, Tennessee, Indiana, so in different states. So here I am.
That is amazing. Congratulations on the growth and congratulations on being self employed for 4 years now almost. That is amazing. And
Right.
sometimes, just a side note, sometimes you're just forced to make that leap. Like sometimes we are like, oh, we're trying to work the job, we're trying to run the business. And sometimes God is like, you about to run this business. Like I'm gonna make you, I'm gonna push you out of this job. So it many times will push you towards your destiny. So again, I'm happy that you made that leap, whether you wanted to or not, and that it is paying off for you. So let's talk
Right.
bookkeeping. Why is it so hard for some small business owners to keep up with, to start and to keep up with their bookkeeping?
I would say that they don't have the experience or background because, for example, I serve as practitioners, nurse practitioners, NPs, and then I also want to help med spa owners, entrepreneurs, and then estheticians. Well, I know specifically for nurses, they go to school for nursing. They go to school to become a nurse or work at the bedside. They aren't introduced to accounting and taxes. So I know that specifically for nurses, I'm sure the same for other industries as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. We many of times, especially as Black business owners, are starting our businesses because of a passion that we have or something that we're really good at that we feel like we can turn into a business. That doesn't make us bookkeepers, that doesn't make us marketers, that doesn't, make us tech gurus. It makes us an entrepreneur. And there's so many hats that we do have to wear as a small business owner that I think that it's sometimes, we don't have the skill set, first of all, but we also um, are not good. Like we're not good at it. We don't want to do it. We're busy. And not only that, we're overwhelmed. But then I think there is some fear. And even in that post that sparked this conversation, I heard a lot of scared of my old taxes. Like I know a lot of folks that are scared of numbers, period. Don't want to deal with the numbers, scared to see the numbers, scared to see that I'm not profitable. So do you run into that as well in your business?
Actually, I talked to a lady. She's not a client now, but she told me that I'm attempting to get her business, but she was saying that she's afraid of taxes. I'm like, well, if you have somebody on your side doing the bookkeeping for you. And on top of that, if they're doing things for you monthly, you know your numbers monthly, and every quarter you know how much you've earned, and then you can do quarterly estimates. That way, the boogeyman, the tax man, the IRS won't be so big in your life and be such a fear. But if you put your head in the sand and go at it just without knowing, you're making money, you're on social media, and you're not hiring somebody to do it for you or even attempting to do it yourself, then you will be afraid to do your taxes because you don't know.
Yeah, I got two things. Like I've had so many conversations about this just this week. One of them was with a banker who made an excellent point. Banker from Old National Bank, and he said, if you are looking at your numbers monthly, then you can make different decisions quickly, right? You can fix problems faster than you now looking at a year's worth of data and being like, man, I wish I'd have saw this in April. I could have pivoted, right? Like I saw a long time, but that I could have seen a long time ago that we were not profitable and maybe I needed to, remove some products or services or do something differently in the business versus now it's January. I'm trying to gear up to file taxes and I'm looking at these numbers and see we didn't make no money, last year, or we made too much and that, or not too much, but we were profitable and now I owe taxes, right? So we can face those problems head on. But I was also talking to a CPA today, and we were talking about, I was telling her, our revenue 4X'd from 2021 to 2022. So I ran into, like, I wasn't thinking about no taxes, right? Like, I, I was used to getting a tax return or maybe owing a little bit and then jump to this whole different level. And now you got to start talking about tax planning, which is a whole nother thing. So, and I'm like, I know better. I know, all the things, but still fitting it in is just another thing that we got to do, which is why it's important to have experts. So tell us, because there is a difference between, bookkeepers, accountants, CPAs. Tell us what the role of a bookkeeper is for a small business.
Well, in my opinion, because I am considered a bookkeeper, but I'm more than that. I count myself, I'm an accounting professional. I can't say I'm an accountant because that means I'm a CPA and I'm not a CPA.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, and what I do for my clients, I do accounting, bookkeeping, taxes, and payroll. And I'll break it down for you. So bookkeeping is when you put information into, say, a software, right? You put it in there. When you organize it and put it into basically like a statement, like a balance sheet or income statement, that at that point it becomes accounting because you're telling a story about the health of a business, how much you earned and spent on an income statement, and how much you've financed your business through the assets. So if you earn $10,000, spent $10,000, you have zero basically, right? So that would be on the income statement. On the balance sheet, the income from the income statement will flow to the balance sheet and go to the equity section because all your assets are financed by three ways. The loans, if you get a loan from a bank or a credit union or whoever, a venture capitalist, that's a loan. They finance your operation through a loan. Secondly, you fund your business through yourself. I say use your money because you finance business, you have skin in the game. So you finance that business that way. And the third way is you finance your business through income that you generate from the business. That's why the income from the income statement flows to, or the P&L, profit and loss statement, flows to the balance sheet. So the numbers tell the story. So I can tell my clients the numbers, get the bookkeeping done, but also present to them financials, explain to them what the importance of the financials are so they know the numbers. I do payroll, but I outsource that as well. And I can do advisory. The difference between what I do in a CPA, a certified public accountant, that is, I can't do these three things for you because I'm not a CPA. The first thing is an audit. An audit is basically a review of your financial statements and saying in some terms that these financial statements are adherence to GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles, basically the standards of accounting, right?
Yep.
And then they give you a statement saying, you whether it's good or bad. In other words, the second thing is a review. A review is a less of an audit. It's not as in depth, but still it gives a review of your financial statements to make sure that they're adherence to GAAP. And the third thing is, I can't represent you in front of the IRS if you are audited. Beyond that, I can do the same thing that a CPA can, but those three things. So I still have value to my clients, but just I stay in my lane. I have my scope that I can practice in other words.
Yeah, I hear a lot of small business owners trying to understand, when do I go from just the bookkeeper to, or let's start with, when do I go from doing my bookkeeping myself to the next level of hiring a bookkeeper, to the next level of needing an accountant or CPA. Do
Great
you
question.
yeah,
Great
do
question.
you have any thoughts or recommendations on how do I make that decision on who's the best professional for me to be working with?
Well, starting out, if you don't have the revenue to actually hire someone, do a spreadsheet. Take a class, maybe go to YouTube University, learn how to do some simple bookkeeping if you want to. Some people say, I'm not doing that. That's not my skill. I'll hire someone, a bookkeeper, to do that. If you have the money and you don't want to do bookkeeping, you want to just run your business and you're doing the numbers, hire a professional. The point where you go from a bookkeeper to a CPA, I think it's subjective. I'll tell you why. Because for me, although I'm not a CPA, I work for CPAs from in Oklahoma and Tennessee for a while. So I have experience working for under CPA, know the procedures that they go through. I've done bookkeeping / accounting, audits, and taxes. I've done the gamut when it comes to accounting. Yeah. I feel it. And I also have a CPA in my corner who I've been doing for 20 years, roughly went to school together, who we communicate. So if I need somebody like a CPA to get the help, I have that in my corner. Now, it depends because CPAs may charge more for the services than me, although I'm adding value. So it just depends on the person. If they feel like they want to go get a CPA, they can. And I'll give you another example, simple. My clients are NPs, right? Practitioners, NPs. Most times you go to a doctor, more likely to see an NP compared to a doctor. The same thing. They may stay in the lane. It's the scope of what they can practice in. So it depends on the person, how comfortable they feel. But I want to say one thing before I end this. Just because someone isn't a CPA does not mean that they can add value to your business. Because again, for me,
absolutely,
I do more than just bookkeeping. So it just depends.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I've worked with a bookkeeper for years now. I like to tell the story of the things that I've messed up because I feel like most people can identify with those things. And so when I started Black Business Boom, I knew I needed a business bank account. I got that. I knew I needed to be bookkeeping. So I signed up for QuickBooks Online. I connected those two things. I never did nothing else, right? Like, and so for all of that was late 2018, all of 2019, didn't do nothing, and then 2020 hit. We didn't make no money in 2018, so it was fine. It was like, I'm not gonna put this on my taxes. We just started in October 2018, no biggie. 2019 made a little money, but I honestly hadn't even thought about filing taxes on, and including the business. I was still working a job as well at that time. And so, but then I remember I was talking to my friend Fallon Wilson, and she was like, "Girl, have you done your PPP application?" I was like, "No, girl, I hadn't filed the business on my taxes. I'm not gonna even worry about it." And she was like, "Yes, you are. Get yourself together." And she was like, "You are not about to miss out on this." From there, I paid a bookkeeper to go back and reconcile my books, from the time we started the business until that day. And so that was a whole year plus. But that put me in a position to then, I'd already done my taxes. and didn't put the business on it. But I was able to amend my taxes real quick, and then submit and get the PPP funding, right? And so I had at least had systems in place that made it so I can go clean up my mistake, right? I could at least, and it was fairly easy because they had already been connected and the transactions had already been flowing into QuickBooks. I just hadn't been going in and doing the categorization so that I could have accurate financial statements. But I try to encourage business owners to at least do that, at least separate your business and personal finances so you know if you're making some money or not making some money, how well your business is doing. Because even if you don't do bookkeeping, you will know based on that business bank account, that things are short over here and you probably need to make some changes, right? So even if you don't look at a financial statement, you start going and getting low on the business bank account, and that's the only funds are going in and coming out for your business, then you might have some problems, right? So at least separate those. At least get the QuickBooks. They have gone up on their price, I will say, but it's still like $30 a month. It's worth it. It is worth it. Um, they're even, maybe you do like Dakota said and you get spreadsheets. Like my bank makes it really easy for me to download all my monthly transactions into a spreadsheet. And I could just put them in Google Sheets. At least I have my deposits, and it's not a PDF statement, it's in something that I can categorize them. Right. So there are things we can be doing as small business owners if we're not ready to pay a bookkeeper that we can at least be doing to set ourselves up for some sort of success, or at least make it easy for us to fix some things should we need to. So I mentioned those few things. Is there any other advice you would give to the small business owners that are tuned in, Dakota?
I would say do it scared. I mean, if you are scared of numbers, get your spreadsheet or hire an intern, hire somebody, a student, to give them credit for it or just pay them something. I don't know, but get it done. Don't put your head in the sand because eventually you're going to have to pay your taxes. You're making money. I know people today who haven't filed taxes like 3 years or even longer. I'm like, bro, sis, what you doing?
It's crazy. It's gonna catch up at some point, it. But furthermore, I don't want to scare folks, even though it is scary. Like it catching up to you is scary. That's a scary thing. But also, I want you to think about what opportunities you might miss by not staying ready. My mama told me if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, right? And so when PVP hit, I wasn't ready, but I got ready, and that set me up for the next opportunity for the Nashville Small Business Recovery Fund to be ready for that, right? And so once I realized, and it had to hit me hard, I almost missed out on this PPP opportunity by just not doing the simple things that I should have been doing as a business owner. I'm not about to miss out on nothing else, because I'm not going in and categorizing transactions. And that was my wake up call to say, I'm not going to miss out on getting funding that can help me to turn my business around just because I'm scared of numbers, or I don't want to log in. I don't want to take an hour out of the month to log into QuickBooks and figure out how to categorize these things, right? And so, I really just want our business owners to stop missing the opportunities because we don't do the things that we should be doing. It's really important to me. And so you can't run from it. If you say you want to be successful, these are the things you got to do. It's a lot of work, but it's what we asked for, right? It's what we signed up for. So we got to do the work, the right work. Like we out here doing all the TikToks and doing all the things, and then can't produce a profit and loss statement when somebody asks for it, right? So there's a problem there.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I tell people sales, marketing, operations, HR, payroll, all those things are important, but without bookkeeping, you may as well close your business because it's vital for every business, small business, big business, nonprofit, for profit. If you're making money, don't overlook this part. Don't overlook it because, like Daniel said, you missed out on opportunities. And for example, if you got a big business, if someone wanted to buy your business, how can they value it without the numbers?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. I
people
mean,
selling
I've been asked
businesses.
for my profit and loss several times in the last 2 years. Like it's something that, just to get in certain programs I've had to provide, to get grant funding, to get other types of capital for my business, to get to talk to investors. There's so many opportunities that you could potentially miss out on. But furthermore, making the right business decisions. It's hard to make the right business decisions if you don't know the numbers. If I look at my numbers and they not looking good, and it's looking like we're not on the road to profitability, I can check that now, in February and figure out, okay, what do we need to do for the rest of the year? Because, we're not on a good trajectory for this year. And it helps me to make better business decisions. It helps me to see what's my cost of goods, so maybe I need to lower that so that I'm running my business more lean and making more profit. Like, where can I cut things so that we can become profitable? We cannot make those decisions without knowing the numbers, and especially if we don't know the costs and the expenses in our businesses. It's like we looking at that top line a lot of times, which is just kind of that. People ask us all the time, what's your revenue? You're applying for something extra revenue. But then when you go to the bank, they looking at that cost of goods, they looking at those expenses, they're looking at the bottom line. And so we may know our top line, but as an entrepreneur, I can tell you it's a lot of folks making $100,000 on the top line that's negative on the bottom line, right? And there's some things that they could be doing on those lines in between to raise up that number at the bottom. So I could talk all day about this just because, and I don't try to tell anybody I'm a guru or a bookkeeper or anything, but I am an advocate for this because it's provided for me, and because of the things that I've almost missed by not doing it. So I appreciate you so much for joining me today, Dakota, and just having this conversation. If folks are interested in learning more about your services, how can they reach you?
But thank you for the opportunity, first and foremost, Danielle, and appreciate your platform. People want to
Absolutely.
get contact with me, they can contact me at dakotagrady.com. My website is dakotagrady.com.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you so much again, Dakota. I'm so proud of you, and it's just amazing to see your growth. I appreciate you so much for joining me, having this conversation. Y'all, go get the stuff done. Take care of your business, and it will take care of you. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thanks again, Dakota. Thank you for joining me.